Shabbat Shalom. Everybody's a little tired from Purim. Shabbat Shalom. That was better. This week, we read from Parashat Tissa, which is the portion with the infamous incident of the Israelites' construction of the golden calf. Okay, yeah, Haman, boo, golden calf, not great, not great. In response to this error, God sends a plague that destroys 3,000 Israelites, and God is ready to destroy the entire people and begin again from scratch with Moshe. After a lot of convincing on Moses' side and a lot of waiting and concern from the Israelite people, Moses achieves reconciliation between God and the nation. That's Parashat Tissa. In reading this portion just a day after Purim, though, a question emerged for me this year based on a puzzling and intriguing word that is used to describe the golden calf. And the word I'll tell you in just a second, but here's my question. What are the benefits of masks and coverings? And when do these coverings get in our way? And when are they actually harmful? So when we dress up on Purim, we have the potential to release ourselves from the ways in which we typically present ourselves. I, for one, am a B because I taught Hebrew school on a Sunday in college, and I was a Deborah, means bee in Hebrew. So I have a go-to costume. So my Purim identity doesn't really take me completely out of myself, but some people do. Who here has a go-to costume? Every year, same thing. Who here changes it up? Who here still has not gotten into the Purim spirit since their children are out of their homes and no longer? Okay, I understand the demographic I'm dealing with. Okay. But when we do dress up, we give ourselves permission to be different and explore possibilities of not being stuck in any particular paradigm of who we're supposed to be. Mishael Tzion, who's a rabbi in Jerusalem, you might recognize his name from the A Different Night Haggadah. He wrote it with his father, Noam Tzion. See what I did there? At this time in 1 month, about this time, no more chametz. Like that's where we are. First Seder, 1 month from today, tonight. Okay? I'm doing it deliberately. Mishael Tzion wrote, Purim, like the good carnival that it is, makes us wonder if there is an authentic self at all, or whether we are just wearing endless masks upon masks. Good question. Now back to the Parsha. Colloquially, we said the golden calf and we got a Haman-like boo, but the Torah doesn't call the golden calf just Egel HaZahav. Does anybody know the word that's used to describe the calf? Good question. It's called an Egel Masecha. Egel means calf, and Masecha in biblical Hebrew has multiple meanings. One is that it's melted, so it's a molten, is that the English word, molten? The gold that they took, they melted and poured it into a mold. And so the Masecha is the melted gold. That's one definition of Masecha, and the other is that it's a veil. In contemporary Hebrew language, if one were to buy a Purim costume, one would get a Masecha, or a mask. Perhaps one could claim that when the Israelites built that calf, they were concretizing their fear. They were making some sort of a mask, a way to place their anxiety on something out there. And interestingly, there is another masking that takes place in this parsha that we will read about this year for the triennial, which is that Moses puts a mask over his face at the end of the reading. Why does Moses do that? Ben? But Ben just said was beautiful. Ben knows that part of what happens in the portion is that Moses only gets to see God's backside, but the encounter with God leaves Moses' face radiant. This is the famous Michelangelo and other medieval and Renaissance painters that place horns on. There's a good parsha for Hebrew words, right? Because the text says karan or panav. Moses' face was beaming with rays of light, but a karen is also a physical horn, and so that's why the medievals depict Moses with these two horns atop his face. But when Moses is done encountering with God for a short blip, and then he has to go back and interact with the people, he puts on a veil because the Israelites are so afraid of seeing him after he has encountered the divine. His face is changed. He looks different from having had that encounter. So there are times that in the context of some relationships, it's better for a person to not be completely transparent and not reveal their whole selves for the sake of keeping and sustaining a relationship where growth can happen. So as I mentioned before, we are in this transition from the holiday of hidden God, from the holiday of a hidden God who we recall's name is completely absent. We just have veiled mentions of God using the word Hamelech or others, to the holiday of Passover, which is the ultimate holiday of God's revelation. So this morning, starting with our Torah reading, I think we begin to ask ourselves the question, what is the right proportion of revelation of ourselves and concealment? What are our obligations to ourselves, to the divine, and to others in terms of how we appear and present ourselves? That's my question for this morning. Shabbat Shalom.